Hi, everybody. I'm Erica Bars, Communications and Grants Coordinator at One Iowa Action, and I'm here with Keenan, who's our Director of Policy and Advocacy, to give you our legislative update after the second funnel. Keenan, can you talk a little bit about what second funnel is?
Yeah, absolutely. So the legislature sets up a number of different processes to narrow down the number of bills that are left in order to debate so that we're not debating everything all the time. It makes this a little easier on the lobbyist side, but it makes it way easier on the side of the legislators. And so second funnel means that if it hasn't gotten through a committee in the Senate and a committee in the House, that bill is then effectively not going to be debated for the rest of the year. Now, it can be brought back up next year, and if it has cleared a chamber, there are certain rules about whether or not it has to go back there. But it means that, at least until January of 2020, we're not going to see probably that bill again, barring some hocus pocus from a parliamentarian.
Okay. So that means we're kind of like in the home stretch at this point, right?
Yes.
Second funnel is fairly late.
Absolutely. Second funnel is very late. May 1st is the kind of official date that the legislature is supposed to be complete. They don't always get there in that amount of time, but that's kind of the time frame that they're looking at. So just about a month, a little less than a month actually left, which means they're going to not be having any committee meetings anymore. Those are basically done for the year. The committees will not meet again, aside from maybe conference committees to hammer out differences between two different chamber bills.
Okay.
But that's a little bit different. But the standing committees no longer meet, so Senate Judiciary is not going to be meeting anymore.
Okay.
Etc.
Gotcha.
And then so a lot of what they'll be doing is floor debate on bills that are already through their committee processes, and then budget debate. Now, they can still bring out new budget bills. That's kind of one of the few exceptions to the funnel. And so we will be monitoring those new budget bills and things like that. We have heard rumors that they will be trying to, for instance, put an amendment in to remove sex education funding, which is something that they had done earlier in the year. That bill didn't clear, but it could be included in the budget process. And so that's something we have to watch really carefully for. That said, I've seen both of the HHS bills. They don't have that in there, so somebody will have to amend that, and we'll be watching for that amendment pretty closely.
Okay. So as far as the bills that we've been watching, what did not make it through second funnel?
Yeah, there were some good bills that didn't make it and some bad bills that didn't make it, which is pretty much always the case.
Yeah.
In terms of the good bills that didn't make it, syringe exchange, unfortunately, did not clear. I really thought that had a good chance of passing this year. Unfortunately, the House and the Senate couldn't agree, and it wasn't able to get through a House committee in time. Also, the mental health bill. So there's a bill to add mental health education and suicide prevention and awareness to high school health classes. And they had even expanded that to 7th to 12th grade from the initial 9th to 12th grade. And this was Senate President Schneider's bill, and so everybody thought it had a really good chance, but people kept kind of tacking on amendments to it, and better became the enemy of the good, and it stalled out and didn't make it. So very hopeful that one has a good chance next year. It is really a good bill, and we really support that. I'm sad that it didn't get through.
How about good things that didn't get
Yeah,
through?
on the other side of things, RFRA is dead.
Yes!
Yay! Yes, RFRA does not seem to be advancing this year, which is good news for everyone all around.
Can you say what RFRA is?
Yeah, RFRA, the religious exemption law that we had been talking about before. So this is a law that would allow people to attempt to exempt themselves from serving different kinds of customers that come into their establishment, or renting to certain kinds of people, or providing health. You name it. You could make a claim and try to get out of doing something that the rest of us are required to do in some way, shape, or form. And so we don't think that that's a good way to make policy, just letting people pick and choose which laws they're going to follow and when they're going to follow them. So it's good overall for a number of reasons.
So what is still alive at this point?
Yeah, the things that are still alive, the thing that we really have to watch very carefully that's still alive is, unfortunately, the judicial nominating restructuring bill. We really need to focus on the House on that one because it has already cleared the Senate side. And so contact your representative on this bill. Tell them that we don't need a change to this system, that it works actually very well. If you need messaging, please feel free to contact us or Justice Not Politics, which we are a part of in coalition, to get more messaging and more information about what that bill does and why it would be a bad thing moving forward, because that is, I think, still very, very concerning.
Absolutely. Anything else that is still alive at this point?
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's still alive. The budget bills we're going to be watching very closely, as I had mentioned. There are a number of other bills that we're kind of tangentially interested in. For instance, the temporary guardianship for minors bill, which still, despite amendments, does not seem to have the necessary oversight in place to protect kids. And so we'll be fighting very hard to make sure that that oversight does happen. Once again, we think this is a fine idea for a bill, but you know, if there's no guardrails whatsoever, that seems like a big problem. So we will be trying to get the safest bill possible there.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Keenan.
Yeah.
You heard from Keenan. At this point, best thing is to contact your representative about the Judicial Nominating Commission, and also keep an eye out for action alerts from us. We'll keep you updated on if any of those amendments that Keenan was talking about with the budget bills emerge. And anyway, hope you have a great Monday, and thanks for tuning in.
Thanks.